How can we put life into some buckets that help us solve all our problems? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, everyone. This is Jill from the North Woods. Today, we're going to talk about my next lesson in life. And this one also came very early. So, again, I mentioned my dad was an alcoholic. And at some point, it was suggested I go to Alateens. There was Alcoholics Anonymous for alcoholics. There was Al-Anon for the spouses. And my mom also went. And then there was Alateens, which was for the children of alcoholics. And unfortunately, where I live, there were a lot of people there. And one lesson I learned very early on from this was what we call the Serenity Prayer. And the Serenity Prayer is, God grant me the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We're going to talk a little bit about this prayer because it actually has a very old history going all the way back to ancient Greece. But this lesson helped me a ton. And the reason it helped me a ton, because suddenly I sort of broke all problems in life into two buckets. Things I could solve and things I can't solve. Could I fix my dad's drinking? No, I could not. Could I come up with techniques to deal with his drinking? I joined a ton of clubs so that I was active, very busy. I had a full life around this alcoholism that I could do. And it kept me from getting too stressed. It kept me from having that problem. But so many times people in their lives get caught up in trying to solve problems they cannot solve, that are impossible for them to solve. I cannot help my dad not be an alcoholic. My mom couldn't help my dad to stop being an alcoholic. He had to get there himself. Same thing with other types of problems. I see people get, caught up in, let's say, politics. You can do some things. You can donate and you can work for a political organization. You can go vote. You can tell other people about it. But in the end, you can't solve anything about it. And so there's really no point in getting overly wigged out about it. There's nothing you can do. There are so many problems that we have in life we cannot touch. We have no ability to alter, no ability to sway anything left or right, up or down in any sort of direction. And when I learned the Serenity Prayer, like I said, when I was very young, I suddenly went, okay, I got this. Everything goes into two buckets. And I do this to this day. I will still sit there and think about a problem I have and say, well, let's see, what can I do about it? Put money into Social Security my whole life. I'm counting on that money when I someday retire. Then you hear, oh, it's not funded. It hasn't been funded. In fact, when I was a kid, I was in that same grade school, and someone says, oh, there's this thing called Social Security, and you're never going to see it. We've known for a long time it was insolvent, and we never did anything about it. But here's the thing. Not a thing I can do about it, except there are some things I can do. I can save additional money. I can make sure I put more money away. I can realize kind of the state of my being when I retire. There are things I can do. So again, everything now in my life goes into buckets. Can I do something about it or can I not do something about it? And so that's how I've always now lived my life ever since I was a teenager. And this has helped me separate things out because I feel like we have so many problems in our lives. We feel so stressed out about the things that are going on in the world around us with wars or with whatever is going on. And you think, is there a thing I can do about it? No. Then stop. Do the things you can and forget the rest. All you can do are the things that you're willing to do. So the Serenity Prayer was written by a fellow named Reinhold Niebuhr somewhere around 1930s, and it was adopted into the Alcoholics Anonymous creed somewhere around in 1940s. And it was even older than that. Let me give you an example. Friedrich Schiller in 1801 said, "Blessed is he who has learned to bear what he cannot change, to give up with dignity what he cannot save." So I see a similar thing. In the 11th century, Solomon Ibn Gabriel wrote, "At the head of all understanding is realizing what is and what cannot be, and consoling what is not in our power to change," right? Very similar. In the 8th century, there was an Indian Buddhist named Shantideva, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, and it says, "If there is a remedy when trouble strikes, what is the reason for dejection? What if there is no help for it? then what use is it being glum, right? Very, very close. But then we get to another fellow, and this is going to be the earliest I know of, at least, called Epictetus. And he said, this is a Greek fellow, make best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. And of course, that is in that same line. This is a very old concept, but I believe it's true. And like I said, for me, I'm able to do a really good job of splitting that up. Sometimes even if I'm stuck in some traffic jam, I'm late for an appointment, and now there's some accident up there. I immediately go into, can I do anything about it? Well, I could get into that exit in the right lane and try to get off this highway. Okay, I'll try to do that. But you know what? If I get stuck in this lane and I can't move, it's not a thing I can do about it. No reason being frustrated by it. Boy, and that's all you can do. My favorite adaptation of this particular phrase came from Bill Waterston and Calvin and Hobbes. You know what I pray for? The strength to change what I can, the inability to accept what I can, and the incapacity to tell the difference. That's the best take on it. They're the opposite of the Serenity Prayer. It's funny when you see it like that, because that's mostly what people do, is that they just get ground down into the ground about the things that they can't change, and they can't make a difference, and they can't have any wisdom to figure out what it is. So when you're in this particular situation, there's absolutely nothing you can do about things. I know my mom too. She got very upset because she did not like living up in the North Woods. She was a city girl. I'm the North Woods girl. I loved it up there. I would always live up there. In fact, I told her once that if I had my wherewithal, I would go back and move back to the North Woods. And she goes, really? Up there? She hated it up there. But there's not much we could do. We're a military family. We get told where to go. There's some nudging you can do here and there, or asking for certain places. But in the end, when you're in the military, you get put where you get put. So every time I go through this particular piece and I go through this exercise, can I change it? Can I not change it? I break things into those categories. There's no reason for you to get hung up about the things you can't change. When it came to my weight even, I have tried to lose weight for a really long time. It got very slow and very painful no matter how much I would eat. I was getting into the inability to control my sugar anymore. I thought, I don't know what to do. I can't fix this anymore. I go to the doctor and I explain the problems, which my doctor knew well because he had my medical charts. And I said, I'm kind of at the end of my ropes on this. I don't know what else I could do. In my brain, I put weight loss in as a thing I couldn't change. I have tried I've been trying to lose weight since I've been younger than I learned the Serenity Prayer. Probably from the time I was 8 or 9 years old, I've been trying to lose weight. I bought a calorie book when I was 10. I have tried this. I have tried all the takes, and nothing has working for me. And so it was pretty much going into the buckets of things I cannot change. But you know what? My doctor, looking for someone else to give advice, helped me figure out a way where I could change it. And now I am changing it. So that's the important thing, is, first of all, like I said, putting things in the two buckets, but maybe taking another look at it, maybe talking to someone who's an expert who can give you different advice, because maybe you don't know how to change something, or you put it in the bucket of things I cannot change, but maybe there is a way you can change things. Maybe there is a way that you can help. There are certainly people who feel stuck in life, and I think that sometimes they miss the obvious answer that there are things they can change. They think that they have a lousy job and they're always going to be in this lousy job. They don't have to be. They think, I can never become better. I can never improve my financial situation. Well, you can. I mean, that's where I got into this when I bought this house. I bought this house with the last time I had to put down on the down payment of the house. I didn't have like a dime more than this house. And suddenly I realized I'm in a perilous situation. I could lose this house, my investment in this house, which was all the savings I had, because I don't have any additional money. And I felt very stuck. And then I realized, you know what? You can do something about this. You can get a better job. And that's exactly what I did. And this job changed my whole life around. Again, it was a very difficult job. It was very hard. People got fired from there left and right, but it turned me into a better person. You can go in and change what it is you need to do. Or even think about companies. There was a funny story that talked about How can we fix something that they couldn't change? So way back in the days, you're in Chicago. So my grandmother was in Chicago, and there's very tall buildings, and the elevators could only go so fast. And people were frustrated that it would take so long to go up in floors in the elevator. They'd get frustrated. They complained to the buildings that these elevators were too small. So what this company did is they looked outside the box, and they ended up putting mirrors inside the elevators. And then suddenly people were like checking their clothes, making sure they looked right, play with their hair a little bit. And it was suddenly distracting enough that they stopped thinking about how long they were spending in this elevator, or even putting in elevator music. Because as soon as people had something to hum that they could hum inside the elevator, suddenly it was cutting down on the amount of time they were thinking, why is this elevator so slow? So again, they could have said, there's nothing we can do. Elevators go, the speed elevators go, but they found ways to get around it. So I guess that's my challenge to you too, is put those things in buckets. But then if you think that something's in the bucket of things you cannot change, question it. Is that true? Can't you solve this? Is there nothing that you can do? Is there another way to think about this? Am I not looking at the right problem? And that's going to be the important thing. Or sometimes maybe there's not a problem there at all. Again, maybe if you look at the fact that your job isn't going the way you want it to go, you're not making enough money, you're not able to afford the house that's here around you, maybe it's not a problem, but maybe it's a challenge for you to start fixing this. Go in and do something better. Start educating yourself. Maybe you've always wanted to do this or that. Maybe now's the time for you to do it. So just don't look at these buckets as permanent. Again, sometimes it may take outside help. Sometimes it might take you thinking about things a little bit differently. And maybe it's just going to take something that's going to take a little bit of time. Sometimes people go back to school, become an occupation. My dad got put out of work when his company lost a contract to a cheaper bid. He put it back through school again and became a mechanic of industrial machines. So he found a way. It took time. But instead of him sitting there, which he did for a really long time, going, there's nothing I can do. There's just no jobs. I have nothing to do about it. He finally figured out a different plan. So those are my challenges to you. I hope that's helping you in order to figure out exactly how you can tackle problems by first putting them into buckets, then doing the things you can, but then go look at that bucket again and make sure that you have evaluated the whole situation right. All right, everyone, thanks so much. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope this is good food for thought for you. Like I said, have stepped through my problems one step at a time. And hopefully this is helpful to you. I have gone through my life stepping through problems one problem at a time. And this one meant a great deal to me because, like I said, I learned it also when I was very young. I suddenly understood how I could deal with my problems better. And that is a lesson that can help you throughout the rest of your life. Thanks so much. I appreciate you watching. Please remember you can email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. Comment right here in the channel if you have anything that you would like for me to read. I appreciate it. I appreciate you watching. Have a great week.